Yes, thank you for coming to interview me.
Thanks, doing this with us too.
It's a pleasure.
So, let's get started.
Yeah.
All right, so your show last night, we were able to catch your show last night.
Oh, thank you for coming.
And it was very interesting and very entertaining.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you found it entertaining. I can't really remember too much about the show, not because I wasn't present, but a lot of, in case you couldn't tell, most of what I played, except some of my rock and roll songs, it was just stuff I was making up. And a few friends I talked to last night that also came to the show, they said, I really like that song you did about dogs. I said,
I love sweet dogs. They have a very nice snout and a very nice beak.
I played a song about dogs. They said, yeah. I said, oh, I don't even remember. And then vaguely I remember saying something about dogs. But it's all coming out very spur of the moment, so I hope it's interesting for people. It's fun.
It was so interesting and it was funny too. I mean, it's almost like improv.
Yes, well it is. No, it's improvised music, it's improvised songs, it's improvised lyrics, improvised performance. In one way that type of performing is very scary to me, very terrifying. It's, even more so in the past, the idea of going out without any idea of what you were going to do, especially when people are expecting to maybe see some kind of show or maybe have expectations based on other ideas. So I really felt nervous the first time I would ever go and do a kind of show like this, but I could tell that when you are spontaneous, when you're listening to that deeper instinct and not second guessing it, because there's not time to second guess it. If I'm going to play something, I just have to play. I think it creates a dynamic where the audience and myself, we're on an even level. I have no idea what's going to happen next. They have no idea what's going to happen next. I'm watching myself play almost. It's like I become an audience member, especially if I see footage the next day or of what happened. It's like I'm watching it for the first time, and it's not even me playing. So you wonder, with music, there's that idea that you're trying to channel God, that you're trying to tap into this idea that goes beyond your own imagination. That's like the whole world's imagination. And I think when you play just spur of the moment like that, you have a very sure connection to whatever that is, or it could be Satan. That's the other thing. It could be the devil. But I'm open to both of those extremes.
Right. And so, how long have you been playing the piano?
Since I was 4.5, 5. So that's seem like that long because it's new every time I sit down at it, and I really only feel like it's been the last 5 years or so that I've upped my abilities, but that was because I put myself in these situations, playing with people I never played with before, sitting down to have a performance with someone where we didn't have any rehearsal of those songs. I mean, it forces you to pull out abilities that you maybe otherwise wouldn't have had to, and that I didn't even know I was capable of. The first 20 years of piano playing, I feel like that was to lay a foundation. And now I get to have fun with that.
Right. So I know you have a new record out.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about 55 Cadillac?
Yes, 55 Cadillac is an album exactly what we're talking about. It's based on this entire concept in terms of spontaneous songs, no preparation, no rehearsal, no songs at all, just playing. And that's what it is. It's an album of me playing piano, much like I did last night, except there's not singing. It's I didn't want to have vocals on this one because I wanted it to really, initially the idea was just to have it be as big of an opposite from the albums I had recorded before. And the albums I generally record are rock and roll albums with many layers of guitars and vocals and drums, and everything's written out in advance and really fine-tuned over sometimes many, many months of work, sometimes years of work. So I thought, what's the most radical departure from that? And I figured 55 Cadillac could be this album of just me sitting down and playing piano. And again, it's scary because you think, okay, at a show, that's a one-time thing that's happening that night, and people remember it maybe, and they move on. It's not necessarily captured or presented as, here's an official release. So again, that was even more scary to think, what are people going to think of this record? This could be terrible. I have no way to judge it even. It's just the sound of this particular guy playing piano for however long it is, 39 minutes I think. I think it's 39 minutes and 39 seconds. So I hope people get some kind of kick out of it. I hope that it's fun to listen to more than once. But again, the first time I recorded it, when I was mixing it and choosing which sections, I recorded for about 2 hours and then took the best of that. But I didn't remember playing, I think, 90% of it. So that was fun. That's an interesting phenomenon. And I want to get better and better at being spontaneous, just in general. I think it's the be-all, end-all way to perform. Like, it kind of blows all other kinds of performance out of the water. I mean, there's something about rehearsing and about reciting, whether it's reciting a song or on stage. Something about performing with a lot of preparation, of course, is extremely powerful. But something's telling me that I was born to venture into this other, more mysterious realm of spontaneity.
Wow. So what inspired you to actually sit down and think, I'm going to go, instead of singing my party anthems, I'm just going to go and try this new solo piano improv route?
Well, actually, Thurston Moore, who's from the band Sonic Youth, he also runs a record label for many years now called Ecstatic Peace. And more recently, he's been putting more time into the label and releasing more records and really building it up. And I became friends with him playing in a band called... It's just a city bus. I became friends with Thurston playing in a band called To Live and Shave in LA, where we are right now. And he played guitar in the group, I played drums, occasionally keyboards and whatnot. And we had kind of met over the years in New York, but that's when we really hit it off. And he put out a very friendly offer one day and said, hey, if you ever want to record a solo piano album, I'll release it. And I had this idea to do a piano album before. I was going to do a version of a lot of my rock songs just on piano, but many layers of piano. And I still would like to do that at some point, sort of an instrumental version of my rock and roll songs. But Thurston gave me that confidence to have someone else in my corner to say, maybe I could really venture out with this. If it's going to be different anyway, it's going to be different enough just being piano, might as well go all the way.
Yeah.
And just abandon vocals, abandon songwriting, abandon quality control. Just play and see what happens.
Wow. So it's pretty interesting when you do the call and response at your shows and you have the audience singing and repeating after you. It creates like a party vibe, even though you're just on the piano.
That happened last night?
Yes.
Half of Tuesdays. Half of Tuesdays. This is Washington. This is half of Tuesdays.
I vaguely remember some call and response. I'm glad I did that. I'm glad to hear that happened because that show, it was very intimate. I mean, people were really standing around the piano.
Yeah.
For better or worse. I mean, some folks I imagine couldn't see. I tried to stand up and address them at times, the folks that were on the periphery. But I think the call and response helps draw people in that way and gives them a real active role. And then, I mean, talking about spontaneous, that's not only was it spontaneous to do the call and response, but then you're having these people saying whatever they're going to sing.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's where I really get a rush when it puts you in the moment. You cannot be thinking about tomorrow. I cannot be worrying about yesterday when I'm doing that.
Right.
And I've heard from many wise folks that living in the moment, literally in the present moment, which is sort of impossible. It's an infinite moment. It also doesn't exist. Because as George Carlin, a great comedian, said, okay, here's the present moment, be in the present moment. Oh, there it goes, now it's the past. Okay, oh, here comes another, oh, there, no, it's already gone. So it is a bit tricky, but there is a way I think we can kind of exist beyond time,
right,
where we realize it's always now, we're always in the present moment. Even when we're thinking about the past or the future, we're still in the present moment. But I find it from doing things that are very challenging or scary, like athletics. I imagine when you're running a marathon, you probably think about all kinds of stuff, but at the same time, you are right there. There's no way
in the moment, yeah.
Because it's pushing you. So when I push myself, it helps me feel the most alive. And I think that feeling of alive can be summed up as being in the moment, much like we are here. I will admit I was thinking a little bit about lunch, about getting lunch later, but that's not to take me out of the present moment. That's just because that's natural hunger, human instinct to be hungry.